Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about, first off, that snowstorm coming up this weekend, and then also the potential for that major snowstorm next week. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. And I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting store in the description and in the pinned comment down below, and then also our very awesome Patreon page in the same location. Now, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think that snowstorm next week is going to occur, or do you think it's not going to occur? And if you do think it's going to occur, what do you think it's going to be like? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look at our European model's simulated radar. And as you can see, as of this morning, we're already seeing snowfall there for Missouri and Arkansas. That's going to be about 1 a.m. this morning, so way earlier than right now. Here we are by about 1 a.m. on Friday, so that's going to be taking a look at tonight, and there will be some snowfall going on for Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Georgia, and then portions of North Carolina there as well. And what this does is it eventually moves up into North Carolina mostly, as we reach about maybe 7 p.m. there on Friday. But after that point, it really does nothing. It actually doesn't move to the East Coast at all, and we see it come very, I guess silently to an end, just very peacefully. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at a model that highly disagrees, and that's going to be the NAM 3KM model, which has a much different solution. So you might be wondering, we're this close to the storm starting, and really the models are disagreeing. So how do you make a forecast? Well, the answer is that it's very difficult, but you have to really know how to just work around these models disagreeing and knowing what kind of just makes sense. We will get into my total snowfall forecast at the end of this video for this storm, but for now, let's take a look at the NAM 3KM model, the model that really just disagrees at this point. And this is going to be by about 10 a.m. or so, maybe 9 a.m. So this is around when you're probably seeing this video, maybe even before. And there is some moderate to heavy snowfall going on for the more mountainous regions there of Arkansas, and then even up through Missouri as well. Again, by the time we reach maybe about, I would say 9 a.m. on Friday, January 8th, so that by the time we're taking a look at tomorrow, there is some moderate to heavy snowfall, mostly heavy actually there for Tennessee, the mountainous regions of Georgia, and then even up through the mountainous regions of North Carolina. That seems to be the bullseye for this storm, but we will take a look at my snowfall forecast at the end and see what I really think. And by the time we reach, I would say about 7 p.m. here on Friday, January 8th still, you can see that snow expands further eastward. And then even by the time we reach perhaps about 5 or 6 a.m. there on Saturday, this model says it reaches the East Coast, Northeast North Carolina, Southeast Virginia, all seeing snowfall. And then you can see it comes to an end by about 1 p.m. But that snowfall lasts well into the day on Saturday, according to this model. What are the odds of that happening? Well, I have it at about 25% or below of the snowfall reaching these regions. So it's a boom or bust scenario for these regions, but there is that chance that they do see snowfall. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and take a look at the total snowfall for this storm according to the models, and then we're going to get into that early next week snowstorm that looks to be much more major. Alright, now here we are taking a look at the European model, and if you're anywhere in the grays, you're taking a look at about a dusting, if anything. Within those lighter blues, we're taking a look at about 2 to 6 inches of snow, and then in those purples, we're taking a look at about 6 to 10 inches of snow. There is some pinks that indicate maybe about 10 inches plus for the mountainous regions there of Tennessee and North Carolina. I really feel like that's a 6 to 10 region you will see in my forecast, though. So yeah, the bullseye seems to be the Smoky Mountains. I highly agree with that. But let's take a look at that NAM 3KM model, the one that showed the snow getting all the way to the East Coast, and it's a very different solution here. We still have those very heavy amounts there for the Smoky Mountains. I want you to keep in mind this model usually does overdo amounts a little bit in scenarios like this, so I would say you could probably take about 5 inches off of what this is saying for those regions. Obviously, if it's calling for 1 to 3 inches, you don't have to take 5 inches off because that would be -2. That wouldn't make any sense at all. But we can see for Northeast North Carolina, Southeast Virginia, it is calling for 1 to 3 inches of snow. It does have about 4 inches there for areas like Norfolk, areas like Richmond, or just south of Richmond at least. I think that in this scenario, since this model does overdo things a lot, I would say it's probably calling for more like 1 to 3 inches of snow, which would still be a huge overperformance as far as, compared to what's expected. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on towards that next storm next week. This one looks to be a lot more major. We're going to take a look at that in just a moment. Alright, now here we are taking a look at that next storm, and as you can see, it actually starts out in Texas, as interesting as that is. What are the odds of this happening? Well, we're 96 hours out. I think the odds are increasing, but still, I'm going to take this with a major grain of salt, and I recommend you do as well, because it's just such an odd scenario, but we will be watching it closely. Here's by about 1 p.m. on Monday, January 11th, and you can see Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, moderate to heavy snowfall. Very interesting, like I said. And eventually this moves up into the mid-Atlantic and also the Ohio Valley a bit as well, but mostly Virginia and West Virginia by this point, also Maryland. And then eventually it moves up to the Northeast, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York City, southern New England there as well. And then by the time we reach about 7 a.m. on Wednesday, you can see it's mostly there for Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then even southeastern Massachusetts. So that's more of like a southern slider kind of turned into a nor'easter as well. This would be a very, very major snowstorm, basically from the south central United States through the mid-Atlantic and into the Northeast. Again, we're going to be watching this one extremely closely here at Direct Weather. This is going to be the topic for a few days if it still looks to happen. So rest assured, we are going to be keeping you guys updated on this storm. Let's just take a look at what the Canadian model is calling for, and actually this model really agrees here, in my opinion. It's showing the snowfall there. This is by, I would say, 3 or 4 a.m. there on Tuesday, January 12th. You can see similar regions seeing snowfall. It moves up into the mid-Atlantic here by this point at about maybe 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Also, the Ohio Valley gets a little bit there, and then up into the Northeast. So it's a little more north-based, but it definitely agrees at this point with what the European model is calling for. So that's a very good news that we do have agreement. The one thing I do want to say is that the GFS does not have this storm at this point. The GFS really just suppresses it. It's been doing that the whole time with this storm. So we have major disagreement that we're going to need to work through over the next couple of days as we approach this storm. We have about, I think, 5 days till this one would be starting. So we have quite a while to go. But I really feel like with the Canadian model and the European model being on the same side, and then the GFS being obviously not showing it, I think the GFS is going to make its way towards what the Canadian and the European model are showing. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at two different things. We're going to take a look at the total, I guess, well, not the total, the modeled snowfall guidance for this second snowstorm as of right now. And then at the end, we're going to get into my actual snowfall forecast for that southern slider that's happening this weekend. So that's all coming up in just a moment. All right, so here we are taking a look at that European model for that second storm, which would be, again, pretty much the earlier portion of next week. And as you can see, it's calling for a very major snowstorm, first off for Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and then also the mid-Atlantic up through southern New England. There is kind of some separation there, unfortunately, for the people there in Tennessee and Kentucky that want snowfall. But if you're anywhere in the grays, you're still at a dusting, if anything. If you're in the lighter blues, you're at about 2 to 6 inches of snow. If you're in the purples to the pink shades, you're at about 6 to 10 inches of snow. And some of those pink shades there, you're at about 10 to 15 inches of snow, especially there for areas in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And then let's take a look at the Canadian model, and it's basically the same exact locations, actually. It's very similar as far as what it's showing, except it has some brighter pinks going on. And those brighter pinks are at about 10 to 20 inches of snow. So first off for Texas, which again, take with a grain of salt, and then also the mid-Atlantic up through southern New England. That's going to be, again, an area of 10 to 15 inches of snow. So if it does occur that way, that is a very major snowstorm. But we're going to keep you guys updated. Take it with a grain of salt. We're still a ways out, and it seems like a rare type of snowstorm, so we're extra skeptical here. But we will be watching that one closely. Let's get into our first frame of that snowfall forecast for the southern slider. As you can see, this is our dusting to 3-inch region. I will talk about that purple area at the very end, rest assured. So if you're within this white region, you're taking a look at about a dusting to 3 inches of snow. In this lighter blue region, which we have one for Arkansas, one for Missouri there, and then one for the Smoky Mountains, that's where you're at about 3 to 6 inches of snow. So that's kind of our bullseye areas. And then there's a very small region of 6 to 10 inches of snow there for the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina, where I think the bullseye will set up. Now, it's about time I talk about that purple region, or I guess magenta region. That's the boom or bust region, and some of the models have trended at this region, seeing a couple inches of snow, and then many of them have also shown them getting nothing. So the overwhelming odds are that you get flakes, if anything. But there is, again, that 25% or lower chance that you do actually see some accumulating snowfall. 1 to 3 inches of snow, I would say, is probably the max. But still, that would be a very big surprise snowfall event, and some of the models do have that happening, including and especially the NAM 3KM model. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, when do you think our next major snowstorm will be? And James Marr said, the next major winter storm will most likely be in the early portion of next week, but it is too far out for details. And I definitely agree. Obviously, that's what we've been talking about within this video, so that is a very good comment of the day. Anyway, for today's Patron Highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, Sebastian Tao, John Benbenick, Justin Quantrell, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, and Mark J. Thank you all for supporting the channel. If you would like to be on this Patreon end screen, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.